Don't place a trade based on what you'll see in this video because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. So let's get straight into the training now. What I want to walk you through is obviously a bit more of just a diagram. I'm going to walk you through here. And then I'm going to actually bring up a real chart. I'm going to show you exactly how this works in the live market so you can see what's going on. Now, every single video would have been building on each other, right? So video 1 was the biggest mistakes. Then video 2 was the trend analysis, which is the most powerful chart reading or trading technique. Yesterday was using trend analysis again. And today is also using trend analysis. That's the reason why you understanding this sort of highs and lows is the most important thing. Again, if you watch these videos, you understand what I'm saying through there. But let's actually recap some of the videos that we've actually talked about here because it all ties into the power reversal method. In an upward trend, what do we have? We have higher highs and higher lows breaking past previous highs. Higher lows breaking past previous highs. Higher lows breaking past previous highs. Make sense? So every single high is making higher lows. So in an upward trend, the most important part to an upward trend is a higher low. As long as the market's making higher lows, then we are still in an upward trend. Now, what do we have in a downward trend? We have what? We have lower lows, lower highs breaking past previous lows. Then we have a lower high breaking past previous lows. Lower high breaking past previous lows. So as you can see, in a downward trend, what do we have here? We have low. The most important part to a downward trend is having a lower high and then breaking of the low. Lower high, breaking of the low. Lower high, breaking of the low. Because that means now we're in a downward trend. So the power reversal method basically puts these two together. So from there to there, if I just drew something like this, actually, you know what? Let's actually do this here. Let's just say, for example, the market went up like that and we had something like that going, right? And then the market did something like this. Now, let's have a look at this here, right? So you can see how we went from a bull trend, the market's higher lows, and then the market rallied up, went sideways for a bit, and then dropped back down. Where did it drop down to? Let's have a look at this here. So let's actually bring up, you know what? Let's bring up this one here. It dropped where? So there, right? So is that a higher low? It's not, is it? So we went from higher lows, it rallied up, it came back down, and then guess what? It did what? It actually broke the low. So that means the buyers are no longer in control. Now, this is now a warning to say the sellers may be coming in control, where we went from an uptrend, now we may be going to a downtrend, and this may be the big top pattern before we start a big move down, and potentially even a sharp move down. So what do we now need? We need what? In a downward trend, we need our lower high, breaking of the low. And so once we got this lower low is now a warning sign to say, hang on a minute, the bull trend is now over because we're not raising the prices anymore. They're not making higher lows anymore. Then we made a lower low. Now what we need is we need the downward trend, don't we? We need now a lower high and then breaking of the low. So as soon as we make this lower high and then we break this low, that's now confirming we've now gone from an upward trend. Now we're starting a downward trend, at least in this phase at this particular point in time. Makes sense? So what I want to do right now is I actually want to bring up a real chart for you and show you exactly how this looks actually on a real chart so we can see see exactly how it all works out there. So here we go. This is what we're looking at here. As you can see, it's actually a real chart that you're looking at right now. It's actually a live chart. And what we can see here is what we're looking at here is we're looking at obviously simple trend analysis. So look what happened here. We did what? We ran up, we made a high, we made a higher low, and then we did what? We broke past previous highs. We ran up, made a low, made a high, broke past previous highs. Ran down, made a high, ran up, broke past previous highs. So as you can see, see how we're actually in a very nice big higher low, and higher low. So what the market is an upward trend. So at this point in time, We cannot be guessing or hoping that the top's in. We don't know. We can't pick the exact top. But look what happened here. What happened here? The market dropped down to create what? A lower low. So we went from making higher lows to now making a lower low. Now remember what I said before just then, right? We now have a lower low. This is now giving us a warning sign that the sellers may be coming in and we may be getting ready for a downward phase. But what do we need? We need to see the market rally up to give us a lower high. And then we need a run down through there and then breaking of the low. So as you can see, as soon as the market broke here, that there was now the point where the market's topped out. This is now what we call the power reversal method. You can see market's topped out. At this point in time, you would not want to be long this particular stock or this particular market, whether it's a crypto market or stocks or futures or whatever. You would not want to be long here. This gets a big X marks the spot if you're long here. Why? Because the market is saying, hang on a minute, we have now changed. We went from higher lows to a lower low to a lower high, and now breaking of the low. Sellers are in control, and as you can see, we've just now had a very big strong sell-off overall, and now we're going sideways through here. And again, this is just taken from the live market, and we're probably going to do something like that soon, because now guess what? Who's in control? We went from higher lows to now lower high. There's probably going to be another lower high here soon, and then we're probably going to roll over and do something like that, something like that. See that through there? So this is what we call a power reversal to the downside, where we actually see how it's actually topping out. We can't get the exact high, but as you can see, it was this point through here that we can start to say, hang on a minute, if I'm long this stock or long this market, the market's now changing, and if the market has a very good probability, especially when we started to get this here. It was right there, lower low, lower high. As you can see, that point right there was now the point where the sellers definitely now, we started making downward trend, and no wonder we now got a big flush down, and then we're probably going to do something like that soon, because now the trend's gone from up. We've now peter out, and now we're going to the downside. Now let me show you a downtrend to an uptrend example. So the reverse is true, right? So now we're looking at an example of a downtrend to an uptrend here. And let's actually bring this down just a little bit more so we can get a real good look at this here. There we go. And let me just bring this down through to here just a little bit. There we go. All right, there we go. All right, that's a lot better through there. Cool. All right, so again, this is just a real example, a real chart example. But look what's happening here. What do we have here? We had a move down, rallied up. What? We made a lower high and then ripped back down, didn't we? And then another lower high and ripped back down. Another lower high and we ripped back down. So we're in a what? We're in a downward trend. But look what happened here. Look what actually happened here. We then rallied up and did what? We rallied up and we created this high here. This is now a what? A higher high. So we went from lower high, and a lower high to now a higher high. What is that? That's higher high is potentially upward trend. So now this right here, this higher high, we're not making lower highs anymore, so the market may be running out of steam on the downside, and we may be changing trend. We may now be going through what we call the power reversal method from a downtrend to an uptrend. Now, in an upward trend, what do we need? We need move up. We need a higher low breaking past previous highs. And as you can see, what happened here? We had a pullback. The market paused there. We then rallied up. And as soon as we actually broke that high point, which is right there, look what's happened ever since. Bam, right? The market's continued up. Now it's going flat. We're probably going to do something like that again soon. Or we may pull back a little bit to get a lower high. But who's in control now? Low, higher low. See how the trend's changed. So if you were short this market coming down, firstly, if you were long here or here, and the market's going down, you now know why, right? Because you're trading against the trend. You're fighting the market. But then suddenly if you were short here, and then suddenly you started to see something like this, you're like, hang on a minute, now the market is completely changed. And now we've gone from a downtrend to an uptrend, which is a lower high, and then we rallied up, made a higher high, higher low, then breaking past previous highs. From this point here, we went from a downtrend now to an uptrend, and as you can see, the whole tune changed. So even if we did get from here in this market, even if we did get a bit of a pull, bit of a drop down through here, who's in control? Low, higher low. This is probably going to hold here and probably going to rally back up again like that. Why? Because we now have an overall low, higher low, and there's probably going to be another higher low because the trend has now changed. And if you're hoping or guessing or trying to work on guesswork or trying to hope that this is now the top, if you're short here, this is now the top and the market's definitely going to drop down through here, it's important to be focusing on what the market is telling you and not what we want to do. This is the biggest thing you can learn as a trader. In my last 16 years of trading, the biggest thing for me is to continue to listen to this. If I am short this market through here and I start to see this point through here, I am now trading against the big boys, right? The big boys push this market around, not us, but the big boys. And the big boys are telling us what's going on. And then if the market starts to rip up like this and then start to do that and you're still short, well, then it's not likely to work out. So guys, this is what we call the power reversal method. And it's amazing. And all it comes back down to is just listening and reading the markets all the time. And that's why I really suggest you, if you're looking at the markets, try to have a screen where there's nothing in the background, where there's no lines or no diagrams. Have no code here. As you can see, there's nothing in the background. A blank screen, and just have black bars, because we're trying to do what? We're trying to read the lows. We're trying to see the lows and highs to get a really good gauge on what's going on with this market, so we can see who's in control. Are the sellers in control? Are we in a downward trend? Are we in an upward trend? And so you can see that. So if you are short and the market's in an upward trend, well, you're now trading against the big boys, and it's probably going to be, you're probably going to have a really high probability of being stopped out.